Christmas is my favorite time of the year, and how can it not be? Twinkling lights everywhere, store windows overflowing with decorations, you are wrapped in a cozy, oversized scarf, and your nose is all red and cute. How can you not love that? It sounds so magical, and some may have that, but I have this. I desperately need some help getting into the Christmas spirit. And here is where books come into play. I decided I'm gonna let myself in the capable hands of Christmas books. I'm gonna read 4 books in this challenge to really be able to dive into the festive season. And because I am just a little bit silly, we're gonna rate the books on 2 different scales. The first one is the Jolly Meter, which is how festive the books are, and the second one is the snowflake overall score, which is like giving stars, but we have snowflakes because it's Christmas. Let's get into it. Our first book from this Christmassy challenge is In a Holidaze by Christina Lauren, which is a book I've seen all over TikTok, and I had to give it a try. It should be a festive romantic comedy about Maylene Jones, who is stuck in a time loop during her Christmas holiday with her friends and family. To get out of this time loop, she must find what truly makes her happy and go for it. Which we both probably know that is something along the lines of telling the guy she likes that she's into him. I have such a good feeling about this book. I think it's going to be a very, very sweet story. Let's start. Let me make this quick. So, I need to get out of the house, and I just wanted to update you real quick that the book is a very sweet one, and it resembles a typical Christmas movie, but it doesn't have the really annoying over-the-top coincidences that Vanessa Hudgens movies sort of have. And the characters are not unreasonable. I just really enjoy it. It's very relaxing. Short update for you. Sorry about the lightning. Sorry about my position. Yeah, bye. It is a bit cliche, but in the best way possible. You can pretty much anticipate what's going to happen, but it doesn't really bother me at all. It's actually quite comforting. So I'm gonna continue reading and see how I feel about it. The characters' discussion and way of talking seems very genuine. I mean, you could see a family having this sort of discussions at a Christmas gathering. So this is very nice when you feel like their conversations seem real. But what I would have liked is to have a little more tiny conflicts between the supporting characters. I mean, in my family, we have a lot of tiny misunderstandings and fights and conflicts, even when we have a happy gathering. I don't know, I feel like that would have added a little bit to that realness. But anyway, I like it a lot. I'm gonna continue reading it. The love story is so heartwarming. While I do appreciate a bad boy from time to time, I really enjoyed that the spotlight was on a loving and caring guy. Honestly, these are the guys we should all be attracted to. The loving, laid-back, chill guy who's friendly and just a good person overall. A few hours have passed, I read without breaks, and finally managed to finish the book. Some might argue that everything came together a little too perfectly in the end, but it really suits the story. I mean, for this particular book, it doesn't bother me. I don't know, maybe it's just that I really like happy endings, but I liked it a lot. It didn't seem overly convenient because the whole entire book is kind of convenient. It works together. It was a very laid-back, cozy Christmas book, and I really did feel Christmas vibes here. All in all, it's a lovely holiday book. Perfect for Christmas. It really got me into the festive season. So if you're looking for that, try this book. Now for the rating. I would say on a jolly meter, it is a 4 out of 5. It was very festive and very jolly. I'm gonna give it the snowflake score of 4 stars out of 5. Again, it is a nice book. I don't have anything to complain about it. If you like it, you like it. If it's not your cup of tea for some reason, I do understand that. But if you want a happy ending love story that is just simple and nice, you got yourself the best option here. Okay, I finished reading for today. I'll see you for the next book. We're gonna film this short section right here in the mirror because I have no idea where else to film in my house. So, the next book is A Court of Sugar and Spice, which is supposedly a fantasy romance book, which I picked up because I plan on diving into the entire series and I just wanted to see why everyone and their mother are so obsessed over the ACOTAR series. So we're gonna see if it lives up to the hype. Also, let me tell you real quick what I know about the book. It's about 2 sisters who enter a war between fays or fairies or whatever. It's a lot of romance and a lot of fantasy. Also, nutcrackers and rats and a lot of Christmas themes. So I'm expecting to feel immersed into the Christmas vibe. Let's give it a try. This book turned out to be quite different than I've expected. I have no idea what's going on. It doesn't stop. I'm gonna take them off. I'm gonna continue reading and see how bad can it get. There's literally nothing else in my head apart from, oh my god, this book is so naughty. It just is just very naughty. I mean, I need a break. I'm gonna go get some air, come back to the book. I'm back and I am open-minded, okay? This book is straight up smut. Exciting, yeah, but it is way too scandalous and it is cringe at times. Most times, and whenever I'm reading at the subway, I am afraid and very embarrassed that someone will just glance over and start reading. He was on her with his big, vigorously. Everyone started each other's. I'm gonna go back to reading. Even now, his like a rainbow. I mean, what's going on? This book has nothing to do with the ACOTAR series, and that's basically the main reason I chose to read it, because I wanted to start the ACOTAR series, but I wanted a shorter book, or I thought this was a spin-off. And I mean, aren't all the ACOTAR series starting with a court of something? I mean, I can't be the only one who got everything messed up and is confused with it. Now, while I was reading, I was wondering, I mean, okay, girls like spicy books, but to that extent? I'm a bit disappointed, and I feel like I've been lied to. I mean, I don't know, was it intentional? Because all of the books start with a court of something. By the way, this is day 3, and I'm planning on finishing the book today. For a more serious take, if that's even possible, the book is not great in terms of plot or character development. at all. Everything is written to lead to as many sex scenes as possible, which is typical for this type of books. And then I was wondering why they didn't put a disclaimer at the beginning of the book, but then I checked and I realized that I just skipped that part. So, my fault there. I was caught completely off guard with this book. I don't mind a bit of spice here and there, but this is on another level. Also, it wasn't very Christmassy at all. There were tons of Christmas elements like the nutcracker, the rats, and so on, but it didn't feel festive at all. Probably all that was overshadowed by all the sex scenes. So that might be it. For the final rating, I will give it a jolly score of 2 because it did have a lot of Christmas elements, but it didn't feel overall Christmassy enough. And the snowflake score, which means how well was the book written, and like the overall score is, can I give it a 0? Let's give it a 1. A 1 out of 5. Depends on what you want. If you want, then yeah, it's a great option. Don't get fooled like me and go for the real Akotar series. I didn't know the name of the writer and I didn't check at all, so that's the reason I mixed them up. I'm gonna tell you about my next book while I prepare my little reading corner right here. So, this one is a first timer for me. I never read a horror book, and it's written by Joe Hill, which is Stephen King's son. Which is interesting. I don't really know anything about Stephen King apart from the fact that my boyfriend doesn't like his style. So I was curious and I went for a book called Nosferatu, I think, but it's written in a weird way. I'm just gonna pick my phone real quick because I forgot what it is about and I want to tell you exactly. Horror novel about Vic McQueen, a young woman with a supernatural gift. She confronts the sinister and immortal Charlie Manx, a kidnapper who takes children to a twisted realm called Christmasland. So it's spooky and Christmassy, but really dark Christmas vibes. I'm excited, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to be my cup of tea, but I am open to giving it a try. I have everything. I am quite intrigued by how it started and it gives me Stranger Things vibes, probably because of how he describes everything as if it's way back in time. At the same time, I'm kind of confused with his writing style. I don't really understand what's going on, when things are happening, and how are they related, and it just feels a bit all over the place. I'm gonna take a break right now and probably continue tomorrow. I didn't film myself while I was reading the book yesterday because I was just hooked. I mean, at first his writing style was just so confusing, but then it kind of started to make sense and it suits the book very well because everything is chronological, but almost everything, but you feel like you're time traveling, which is brilliant because you're not. I mean, I don't know. I'm still confused, but I like it. I don't even know for how many days I've been reading without filming anything, but at some point I reached 48% and there was a turning point in the book and I just had to take a break. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to take a break and I am just surprised by how mesmerizing this book is for me. I mean, if you ask me why exactly I like this book, I wouldn't know to pinpoint some specific things. I like the writing style, I like the story, it has some interesting moments that are just getting me really into the book, but the same thing happened with my other favorite book, because I don't really know what to tell you is the best part of Pachinko, which is a really laid back story, but somehow it just works. the same happens with this book. I'm going back to reading. I don't know how much I'm going to read. Let me see what time it is. It's 3:30. I'm gonna read it for a while longer. All the gory and graphic moments are very unsettling, but at the same time fitting because they remind you of how awful the characters' actions are. When sometimes you kind of fall back into the Christmas land story yourself, you kind of fall back into a kid's story. And then you are reminded of how awful the situation really is. It's gritty and unfiltered at times, which adds to the overall creepy feeling, and I'm all for it. I really enjoy the book. Especially, I'm just going over that I like his style, which I don't usually go for. At least that's what I thought, but apparently I will go for it. Anyway, I'm gonna read for a little while longer and I'll see. I don't know if I'm gonna film every day because it seems like this book is going to take me a while to read. Even though I like it this much, I read it in chunks. I can't read as I've read the other books. Usually the happy endings and the romance books, I can read those in 1 day or 2 days. I get very into the story, but with this one, I kind of need some breaks sometimes. So, yeah. I liked how the third-person narration changes in tone depending on the character in focus, especially when it comes to the deranged being. Now, this is a very, very nice way to let the reader dive deeper into the minds of the character. Usually that happens when we are in the first person type of narration, but here, even though someone else is telling me the story of what's going on, the tone changes accordingly. And that makes a great difference for me, at least. I'm gonna be back to reading because I have a lot to go. I did take my time to read this book, and I'm not even sure for how long I've been reading it. Probably 12 days. Even more, but I finally finished the book and I didn't share any of my opinions regarding the last part of the book or the second half, because if I were to say anything, I think I would have ruined it for anyone who wants to read the book. So I just kept it for myself. I didn't expect to like this book as much as I did. I think it's my second favorite book right now. And at first I was very skeptic about it because my boyfriend read Stephen King's books, which is Joe Hill's dad. And he said he didn't like it at all. And I'm planning on reading some Stephen King books to see for myself. But surprisingly, it was one of the most interesting books I've read, even though kind of childish at times. The horror aspect is definitely there, gory and disgusting at times, but it fits the vibe. His writing style grew on me and I ended up appreciating it even. It was very, very Christmassy and it really got me into the festive season. Although it had a darker and chilling atmosphere, which is great because that's what I wanted from this book. Excuse my really weird choice of a place to film, but we are only here for the rating of Nosferatu, which, what can I say? It's a 5 out of 5 for the Jolly meter, and it's a 5 out of 5 snowflakes. I never believe that a book can't get any better. All books can be better, but at the same time, I'm not going to go and overanalyze every single part because overall, I just like the book. Yes, there are certain aspects which maybe I would change or I would add to, or slight differences, but that doesn't make it any less better than it is. So, and after reading Joe Hill's book, I am convinced that I want to try more horror or thriller books, which I've never tried before. I already have a list of thriller books I want to read. We are changing things up because I need a lovely and sweet romance story to wash away any weirdness from Joe Hill's book. One Day in December is a love story centered around a love triangle following the characters over 10 years. So it should be interesting. Also, I know nothing else about this book, so let's get cozy right under the Christmas tree and start reading because that's my favorite place to read. And you're gonna see how I'm gonna arrange the place. First step, pillows on the floor. I'm planning on reading as much as I can. I just put on some Christmas background music to get me in the mood, and let's start. I physically feel what the main character is going through. So Lori can't be with the one guy she's been dreaming of for the past year, a guy she saw in a bus station, and I'm just so anxious with her about this. We'll see how I'm gonna get over this feeling. I usually can read and be quite calm about whatever is going on in the book, but I really feel the anxiety building up here. I am 23% in, and up until now, it's just a sweet and cozy book. Also, it is very easy to read, which I always appreciate about a book. I'm gonna go on the sofa for a bit. I'm at 27%, and I'm angry because cheating is involved, and whenever someone cheats, I just lose interest in that character. That happens in real life as well. So cheating is just a major turn off for me. I mean, I just can't unsee the cheating and see the person for who he or she is. Maybe it's a me problem, but this makes me kind of hate the male interest here, but we'll see. I don't like that. So, I'm very anxious with all the time passing by, and I can't imagine myself being in such a situation where I can't be with the one I care for the most. So, I feel like the book is very sad from this perspective. I don't know, I'm conflicted. I like the characters and I don't like the characters, and I like the story but I don't like it. So I'm 39% in, and I'm finding myself hating the male love interest more and more. We have another love interest for Lori as well, which I don't like either, but I just don't like him because I know he's not right for her, but the other option is still bad. It doesn't feel like a Christmas book at all. So the story or the book is a compilation of sequences from the years passing by. And during Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, interesting things happen. That's what maybe makes it a Christmas book. But up until now, and I am probably 40% in, yes, I don't feel a Christmas vibe, which is disappointing. But the book is interesting, even though I hate it. It's a love-hate relationship. I love cheesy and happy ending love stories, and this one has nothing to do with that. It is a good book, but at the same time it is very annoying. I'm gonna go back to it and see if anything is going to change my mind. Another thing I like is that it is not only about love. It revolves around finding love, but Lori has a lot of issues with her career and with her family, and she goes through some rough patches. That adds a bit of an interesting factor to the book as well. I've been reading for such a long time that I am exhausted and I need to doze off for a bit, but before I'm gonna do that, I am 50% in, and I can't help myself. I absolutely hate Jake, who's the main love interest here. He's such an unsufferable person. He makes childish remarks and he's so pitiful. I I really don't like him. I really want to. I can't. I just can't. His behavior is unbearable and he's just a whiny baby. I mean, he has some issues and the whole world is crumbling around him and he's rude to everyone. And his poor girlfriend, she's trying to help him so much and he's just such an annoying person and ungrateful. I'm gonna continue tomorrow because I've read for such a long time, but hopefully things are going to change because I really want to forgive him and give them a real chance. Everything points to Lori and Jake ending up together. It's such a shame for Sarah, who's Jake's boyfriend right now. So Sarah is Lori's best friend. Lori as well has a really shitty thing going on for her. Oh my god. The book is interesting because it really caught my attention, but I like it. I'm gonna go to sleep right now, okay? I'm gonna sleep here because it's the perfect little hiding spot under my piano next to the tree. I am 60% in. And I forgave the guy. I forgave Jack. I am rooting for Jack and Lori. And Lori is still with Oscar. She is getting married to him. And I am hoping that a living the groom at the altar cliche moment is going to come. I'm really wanting that because I want them to be together, Lori and Jack together now. I can't wait anymore. I am internally sobbing and hoping for the happy ending. I'm exhausted with their decisions and oh my god, they're so annoying. Can't they do the right thing for everyone and just get together and go back to reading? I'm gonna make the place more cozy with some pillows. I am 80% in and I want to throw my Kindle across the room because she is still with Oscar, even though he's definitely a mama's boy. And I mean, he might be a good person, but he's not right for her. And Jake is with this other girl, and it's just so heartbreaking. I'm seriously contemplating how can this be such a slow burn. I am very, very angry with the writer. I didn't film it because I don't want to cry on camera, but I did cry a little bit. And I think this book is the saddest book I've ever read. It's just so heartbreaking that someone just gets themselves so deep into this life that doesn't feel like their life. It's draining to read something like that and be so invested in it because I'm very invested in it at this point. Even if I probably will. If I get the happy ending, I will still feel like all these years, probably I think 10 years, have been sort of wasted in a way since they're not together. Kind of wasted, but they also learned a lot during this time. So I don't know. Back to reading. But after all the suffering, I got about 10 pages of pure bliss. It was worth it. I mean, the whole book, every part of it had its thing going on. It was worth it, but I wanted much, much more of their life together. I got just, as I said, 10 pages. I mean, is that a joke? I want more. This book just captures how people make life-altering decisions without realizing it, and they stumble through life, get themselves into shitty situations, and end up being sad. It shows you how life looks, or for some people, how life looks, or maybe how your life can be better. If it makes you wonder, because it did make me wonder and just think about my life, which I always think that it is a wonderful thing that books do for you. Because when I see a movie, I don't really have time to be in the story. When you're reading a book, it takes a lot more of your time and you are just surrounded by the story and you can truly imagine yourself there. And you go through certain issues and life problems that in your own real life you're not encountering, and you might not be able to learn a lesson from that. And a book can help you learn the lessons you cannot do in your own life. With the Jolie meter, I am a bit disappointed. There were certain moments where the Christmas vibes shone through. When you're reading the book, you don't really mind when things happen. At the beginning of every chapter, you have the date at the top, so that's kind of the name of the chapter. Yeah, you kind of keep that in mind, but it's not the highlight. When Christmas and New Year's Eve is here, something interesting always happens, but you're not focused on that. For the Jolie meter, we have probably a 2, maybe a 1, let's say a 2. It could have been much more Christmassy. For the snowflake score, it is a 5 out of 5. I always end up loving the books I least expect to enjoy. I haven't been reading as much as I wanted. Actually, I never did, but with this almost 1 month challenge, I feel like I'm finally becoming the book girly I was always meant to be. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked this video, you might want to watch this one. Bye.